My name's Quinn Mc Donald and I'm here for my local sporting hero interview with Keith Johnston. Thank you very much, Keith, for coming down and taking the time to answer these few questions I have prepared for you. So just to start off, if I could ask you a bit about your childhood, if that's alright with you.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up and how was your childhood for you?
I grew up in Barcroft Park here. I lived in the 2nd Street in Barcroft. So basically the football pitch was right behind where we lived. So if you weren't out playing football on the street, you were playing football in the Barley Field. So it was good. It was a good place to grow up. Still have lifelong friends from living in Barcroft. So it was just basically playing football and great memories from living there.
Handy enough childhood anyway.
Yeah.
Where did you attend school and what was your school life for you?
I went to St Malachy's Primary School in Carnegie, primary school, then to St Coleman's College, and then I went on to Liverpool John Moores University for 3 years. School life was always good for me, never really got on well in school, never really had any problems, thankfully. Same again, in school, just grew up playing football. It was all football for us. Even through secondary school, lunchtime, you would have got your lunch, you were down, played a bit of football down the pitches between ourselves. Then went to university for 3 years in Liverpool. It was a good experience as well. I went over there, was living in student halls, so basically getting to know one. I was living with people I'd never met before, which was good. I was glad that I'd done it at the time because it was a good experience. Yeah. Knew a few people that were going over at the time, but anybody in terms of living with people, it was new, which was good because obviously met new people, and same again, met friends that I've still been in contact with, all these years later. So yeah, school life was good.
When you were younger, who or what got you into playing football?
Well, from a very young age, probably my dad would have followed Newrytown from a very young age. My dad comes from a big family of football and boys. They all followed football. They're all involved with football some way. Yeah. Would have watched Newrytown home and away, basically wherever they went. And then again, my uncles were always involved. Some of them were involved with coaching and managing. My uncle Bobby, he was down at Midway at the time, so he got me down with Midway from a very young age. Maybe 7 or 8 that was down from Midway. So just basically through family, and
football was always in the family.
Yeah.
Did you have a favourite team growing up when you were younger, and any reason for that team?
Yeah, well, I grew up supporting Man United, which is funny, as I said. My dad's the family. There's 6 brothers. They all supported Man United, but my dad, he actually supports Arsenal, so I ended up supporting United. But I think it was just he would never have forced it on you. Yeah, the sport sort of just left up to myself. And say when I was always away with the uncles, to Newry, and I always remember we used to go up to my uncle's house on a Sunday to watch United matches. Even from a very young age, and then. I think it was at my first United match when I was maybe 9 or 10. So yeah, my uncles to thank for that, but my dad was never too happy that I didn't end up supporting Arsenal.
When you were growing up, did you have your own sporting hero to look up to?
I don't think I had not one in particular. Again, it was always football for me. Say at a very young age supporting Man United. I suppose I remember when I was around that age, sort of 8, 9, 10, like Eric Cantona and stuff, I always loved watching players like him. And then obviously as I grew up a bit more, I always played as a striker, wanted to play as a striker. So like Andy Cole, Van Nistelrooy, I always just loved watching players that got there, how they scored goals and movement and stuff. So yeah, not really one in particular, just sort of always kept an eye out for strikers through the years.
Did you have a local team when you were younger, and how did that help you develop as a player?
Yeah, as I say, Midway, I was down at Midway from a very, very young age. I think it must have been under 8s, I think was the first, and it was there right through till under 18s.
Yeah.
Midway, as you know, it's a real well-run club, and right through there was always good coaching, and you had all the facilities there down at Whitegates, and you had the five-side pitch where you done training and stuff. So yeah, it was you were always coached and everything was done properly, and then even when we were older, sort of 16, 17, 18, Barry Traynor and Barry Gray were our managers at the time, and I think they sort of tried to put a real sort of level of professionalism into the football with us when we were at that age, and I think that helped in everybody's development, because a lot of players from that team actually went on to play at a higher level and stuck together. But it was just from playing at that team with Midway, it sort of put you in good stead for going into senior football then.
What was the highest point in your career, or the highlight of your career that you look back on?
Probably there's two highlights, and they're both the same thing. I was getting promoted to the Premiership, both with Warrenpoint and with Newry. I was lucky enough to play in good teams, over the years, won plenty of trophies. But definitely with Warrenpoint, we went the whole way from Mid-Ulster, Intermediate A, through Championship 2, Championship 1, and then up into the Premiership. So it was a massive achievement at that time, because the team was a lot of local players, and it was a brilliant achievement to do that. And then when I left Warrenpoint, I ended up going back to played for Newry then, and again started in Intermediate A, Mid-Ulster, same again, went up through Championship 2, Championship 1, and back into the Premiership as well. So yeah, I suppose getting into the Premiership, them two teams, was the highlight.
Would you have had any particular game in all those run-ups that was your favourite or your best game?
I always remember the two times that we got promoted was through the playoffs. The first time we Warrenpoint, we played Donegal Celtic. I was actually injured in the run-up to it, and I only came on for the last sort of 15 minutes, I think, in the second leg, up in Belfast, and played Donegal Celtic. But I would always remember them two games, and I suppose too, a playoff we played with Newry, we beat Armagh. I scored twice down in Newry. That was a highlight. I always remember that game well, because there was a massive crowd down, and it was a great result for us. We ended up winning that game. So,
is there anything you wish you had done differently when you were playing, or when you were younger?
I wouldn't. I've no real regrets or anything of anything I've done, or teams any moves that I made or anything throughout my time playing. But if I would say change anything, I would more so probably working on like weaknesses that you had. Like I was always right-footed. I never really was played with my left foot at all. So probably if I had the chance to go back, I'd probably say yes, train more so on your weakness is your left foot, because it's obviously going to make you a better player if you're able to use both feet.
Do you have any further goals in football, or?
Well, obviously coming towards the end at this stage, I'm 36 now. So but as I say, I'm playing for Newry Celtic now. So yeah, I want to just try and keep playing as long as I can for another few years at least anyway. And obviously, hopefully, win a few things with Newry Celtic as well, because there's a good enough team there to do it. So yeah, hopefully just keep playing for another few years and pick up a few trophies along the way, hopefully.
Did you have any setbacks in your careers that you thought would have been bigger than they were?
Just really probably injury wise, it's only more so in recent years, I think. Probably got to do with the age as well. You find yourself picking up more injuries. I was always prone to hamstring injuries, and I think this last few years have been getting more frequent.
So it starts coming on more.
Yeah, so that's really it, really injuries and stuff, but no major setbacks, thankfully.
Last question here. Would you have any advice for any younger players trying to reach a high level in football, and what they could do to better their chances? Well, it sounds obvious, but just work hard.
because it's getting harder and harder, you know, with the way things are now, with, you know, especially Irish League football, there's teams going full time, there's maybe 5 or 6 teams full time now, so it's probably going to get harder for people, you know, to get that opportunity to go and play full time. But yeah, no, definitely work hard, and as I said before, you know, if you've any weaknesses, work on them from an early age, you know, because it's only going to benefit you, you know, as you get older. Just like, you never give up either, because you just don't know what's going to change in football. Because at the time I left Warrenpoint when they were in the Premiership, and I was sort of thinking, you know, I'm dropping down the leagues here, I'm probably never going to get that opportunity again. But then we got promoted through the leagues again when Uri, and I ended up playing in the Premiership in Uri as well. So things can change very quickly in football. So it's just hard work, and just, you know, never give up. As you say, you probably will come across setbacks, but you just have to keep at it.
No, thank you very much for taking the time to come down and answer these questions. Really appreciate it for helping me to get further to my qualification.
No worries. Good luck with it, and thanks for having me down. Thank you very much. No problem.